Hello, family. Welcome back. We've been on quite the journey together through this Our Vision series. We've talked about the fire that fuels us, the dream that inspires us, the design that structures us, the rhythm that guides us, and how each of us, every single one of us, has a place in the vision. Now, it's time to go a bit deeper. This session is called the calling and the cultivation, because while everyone has been called, that calling needs to be formed, that calling needs to be shaped, that calling needs to be prepared. We need to be trained before we can be commissioned. The calling speaks to Isaiah 61, where it begins, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, and because he has anointed me." That tells us something very, very important. Every believer is called. Every believer is called to proclaim, to restore, to build, to equip, and to connect. But here's the key. Calling is the beginning. Calling is not the finish line. When Jesus called his disciples in Matthew 4, he didn't send them out right away. He said, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Did you catch that? Do you hear it? The calling included a promise of being made, a promise of being shaped, taught, and formed, developed before they were sent. That's what calling looks like for us as well. Commissioning is not just about a moment where someone lays a hand on you. It's about a process where your calling is recognized, prepared, and confirmed. Think about the disciples once again. Y'all, for 3 years, they walked with Jesus. They learned from him. They were corrected by him. They watched him serve. They asked him questions, and they even made mistakes. But all of that was part of their cultivation. It wasn't until Matthew 28, after years of walking with him, that they were fully commissioned to go and make disciples. The same is true for us. Calling is immediate. The moment God speaks, you are called. But commissioning, that's the gradual part. It happens as you grow. It happens as you are developed, trained, and equipped, and as you are affirmed by the church. And this is so important because when people step out without cultivation, the cause is harm. But when calling is cultivated, the church is strengthened, the kingdom advances, and disciples are multiplied. I want to make sure that you catch what I'm saying here as well. Although what we hear, and you've been hearing me speak, that it took the disciples time to be developed, that they went through a period of 3 years. Y'all, we have an understanding that God is doing things rapidly. God is doing things at a pace that will blow our minds. And sometimes we come in and we begin to grow in such a way that God begins to commission us while we are being trained, while we are being developed, while we are being cultivated. I don't want you to think that, hey, Pastor, I've been called, or you come to the church, you've been called, and you start the process of cultivation and growing and becoming more and more like Jesus Christ and fulfilling the call he has on your life. I don't want you to think that it's going to be 4, 5, 6 years, 3 years before you can actually step out into what God has called you to do. That is not what we are about. We are not going to stifle what God is doing in you. Our job, our responsibility is to stir it up, to stoke it, and then to send you out into the world to do what God has called you to do. So here's what I want you to recognize. There's another part to this. It's not just the calling. It's not just the cultivation. There's a charge. The charge is recognizing your calling. Not just recognizing your calling, but embracing the process. Don't rush it. Don't compare your journey to someone else's. Trust that God uses discipleship. He uses mentoring and equipping to shape you for what's ahead. Don't bury your calling out of fear, but don't run ahead without preparation either. Both extremes are extremely dangerous. The sweet spot is saying, "Lord, I know you've called me and I'm committed to being formed until you say that I'm ready to be sent." And that timeline depends on what God is doing in your life. So as you reflect on this session, I want to encourage you to hold two truths together. The first, you are called. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon you, and your life has purpose in his kingdom. But you are also being cultivated. God is shaping you. The church is equipping you, and your calling, it will be confirmed and commissioned at the appointed time, at the right time. That's why in our next session, we'll talk about the pathway, the bridge that shows us step by step how this cultivation happens. This is our on-ramp that takes your calling from passion to preparation and eventually into fruitfulness. Family, you are called and you are being cultivated. We are here to walk with you through that cultivation process. And when God says now, you will be commissioned. You will be sent. For some, it might take a bit of time. For others, you step into this thing and we are ready to run almost immediately. But we will still, even if you're ready to run now, there will still be a moment of preparation. There will be times of cultivation. There will be times of equipping and development. We are always being equipped. Even as pastor, I regularly seek mentoring. I regularly speak with mentors who pour into me. I'm constantly being poured into, but I'm also seeking other ways where I can continue to be trained, continue to be developed, because I have an understanding and all those who serve have an understanding. Until Christ calls us home, we have room to grow. We have room to be developed. We have room to be more effective. And that goes for every single one of us. No matter how long you've been involved in ministry, no matter how long you've been walking into your relationship with Jesus Christ, you can be cultivated. There's further development. You can be more effective in what God has called you to do. And we are here to make sure that happens.